Hello everyone. Good evening. 7:30 here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live as well, and we're going to chat about tonight's snow and the possibility of a white Christmas this year. With Christmas coming up in just 9 short days, we now can take a pretty educated stab at the chances of some snow in time for the holiday this year. Thanks to everyone for all the comments and reports on the snow. Totals in your backyard, whether it be on Facebook or on Twitter. I appreciate everyone chiming in. Today, let's get right to it. And first, before we get to what's going on now and what's going to happen in the future, let's do a quick review of what things looked like in Boardman today. And, you know, this came in right on schedule after a dry start to the day, right around late morning, early afternoon. The snow spread in, and it actually started coming down at a pretty good clip, and things got pretty slippery in a hurry. And while the snow has been fairly light in a lot of spots over the last couple of hours, certainly a lot of road surfaces out there remain on the slick side. This is a live look outside at the traffic circle in Columbiana. Always beautiful when we have fresh snow and the very Christmassy scene here along the traffic circle. And you know, what you see is what you get. It's hard to tell it's even snowing here, but it is snowing lightly. And some of these more well-traveled roads, some of them are doing okay, some of them maybe not so much. We've seen some reports of even major thoroughfares such as 224 and Boardman being still fairly snow-covered. They've been treated but not necessarily plowed in some places. But you know how that goes. Your mileage can certainly vary. Now, when the National Weather Service office in Cleveland issued today's climate report for the Youngstown Warren Airport at about 5:25, the snow tally at that point was 2.6 inches. Now, that was about 2 hours ago. No doubt we've added a little bit more to that. So that was the official number. There'll be another climate report that comes in at about 1 o'clock in the morning with the full number at the airport. All right, for whatever reason, this graphic gets a little weird at this time of day. There has not been that much snow, so we're going to skip past that and talk about how much snow we have recorded. Now, again, I've gotten a lot of comments, and I appreciate everyone chiming in. Here's some of the tallies that have been relayed by the Weather Service offices in both Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Austintown pretty close to 4 inches, Mercer pretty close to 4 inches. Amounts as expected, a little bit lower off to the north, so 2 to 3 in the Cortland area, and even north of there, up towards the Ashtabula line, up towards the Geauga County line, amounts have been quite a bit lower. We had a little dry slot that pushed in for a good chunk of the second half of the afternoon. Alliance checked in at 4.1. I've seen 4 inches plus tallied up near Lisbon. That was as of maybe about an hour ago. And yeah, we've had between 4 and 5 inches in southern parts of Columbiana County as well. Now, you know, people are always going to be skeptical of snow forecasts, especially. We had, 2 weeks ago, we had kind of an underperformer in some parts of the area, especially in Mahoning County. And so I've seen a lot of comments on Facebook over the last 24 hours. I don't believe it. You guys are always hyping stuff. We never get big storms around here. The truth of the matter is that we do get big storms around here. Just because the last storm kind of underachieved in some spots does not mean every storm is going to do that. And actually, this system has been fairly well behaved so far with the timing and amounts that we've seen thus far. All right, here's a look at the current radar. Where the steadiest and heaviest of the snow is right now, as of we have, 7:32 right now. I would put the steadiest snow, the most impactful snow, in areas of western Columbiana County where you see some of these deeper blues, Salineville, heading up towards Hanoverton, into the Salem area. It's definitely lighter in eastern Columbiana County. This is pretty light stuff out across eastern Mahoning County right now. It's not doing much of anything north of Interstate 80 in Trumbull County. And some light snow in Mercer County. Thankfully, the snowfall rates this evening have not been terribly impressive. We had a burst of snow in a lot of places mid-afternoon. We've had a little bit of a lull in the action over the last couple of hours. But that band of steadier snow in western Columbiana County is going to crawl north. So while you're not seeing a whole lot in terms of intense snowfall right now in places such as Canfield, Boardman, North Lima, Youngstown, Austintown, this is going to creep off to the north. And eastern Columbiana County also, I expect your snowfall rates to pick up some over the next 45 minutes or so. But we are missing the snow bonanza off to the south and east. Earlier today, they had snowfall rates right at rush hour in Pittsburgh of about 2 inches per hour. Where you have some of these yellow colors, we had incredibly intense snowfall rates, just an hour to the southeast of Youngstown. So this was always going to be a near miss for us. We never forecasted super high amounts around here. There's always going to be a pretty big gradient between a big snow bonanza and a kind of a moderate snowstorm as we are seeing across our area. But yeah, that was no fun in Pittsburgh earlier on. And speaking of, Pennsylvania as a whole, with the exception of the far western part of the state, this is a crippling snow event for a lot of central and eastern PA especially, and a rarity for December. Pennsylvania is no stranger to big snowstorms, but these snow events that typically produce more than a foot, they're much more common in January and February, even into March, rather than the middle of December. This is kind of a rare bird for the middle of December. And so there's going to be roads that are going to be shut down for a while. Power outages are going to be a problem. This is a real mess in central and eastern parts of the Keystone State. East of State College especially, and over towards Williamsport, down towards Lewistown. Again, this is kind of the east central part of PA, a couple of hours to our east, 2.5, 3 hours to our east. 20 plus inches, not going to be unheard of in that part of the state. In parts of northern New Jersey will do really well. New York City will do really well, although there may be some mixing nearby New York City before the evening is through. Back here at home, here's a look at some road sensor temperatures. We always like to keep an eye on 7-Eleven here in Mahoning County. This tends to be a trouble spot in wintry situations, and typically one of the colder road sensor temperatures that we see. And yeah, there are some sensors that are showing below freezing temperatures at this hour. It's cold outside. Temperatures, air temperatures in the upper 20s. Road temperatures are following suit. As far as the snow tonight, I think it's going to be pretty steady for the next handful of hours, but you keep an eye on the clock up at the top, and while there's some blue on this map as we head into the wee hours of tomorrow morning, this is all going to be light and spotty. And while surfaces can remain slick into tomorrow morning, we're already seeing a lot of school adjustments as a result. The snow falling from the sky by the time we head towards the wee hours and into tomorrow morning will all be pretty light, and not much more than flurries then as we transition into the daylight hours. Now, I want to draw your attention to maybe a sneaky little event tomorrow evening. A couple of flurries tomorrow morning. Not much will happen around midday tomorrow, just a December day. Clouds, gray, temperatures around freezing. Little disturbance will probably kick up a few more snowflakes tomorrow evening. It's kind of a sneaky event. It's not a big snowstorm or anything like that, but I could see where there's enough flurries and snow showers with temperatures in the upper 20s tomorrow evening that we get a fresh coating to maybe a half an inch to even an inch in some spots, and surfaces can get slick again. Again, this is not a big ticket event, but a sneaky little event that could make things a little bit slick tomorrow evening. By the time Friday morning rolls around, it may be hard for the atmosphere to produce many snowflakes by Friday morning, but there may be a lot of moisture in the low levels of the atmosphere, and with temperatures below freezing, we might have to watch for a patch or two of freezing drizzle first thing Friday morning. Not something I'd place money on at this point, but I can't rule it out either. So that'll be something we'll be keeping an eye on for Friday morning as we head into the weekend. A lot of clouds, and then maybe a very late day rain or a snow shower on Saturday. More likely we see a little precipitation overnight Saturday night. Now we are going to see a modest warming trend late this weekend and early next week. Notice this warmer than average temperature regime indicated by all the oranges and browns here starts to migrate east. Now, it's not going to be in the 50s and 60s, but we are probably going to see 40 to 45 degrees for a few days early in the week. The big question is, how does the pattern change, if at all, as we head towards Christmas at the end of next week? And the models are in very good agreement that some colder air is going to start to make inroads as we head towards the second half of next week and towards Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I wanted to show you one model's ideas here. All these squiggly white lines are what we call isobars, lines of equal pressure. As we head towards Christmas Eve, next Thursday, there's going to be an area of low pressure that moves across, dragging a cold front. And with this, there may be some snow showers. Now, this will not be a big area of low pressure that produces a ton of snow in some parts of the east like we're seeing tonight. But this may be enough to lead to some modest accumulations Thursday for Christmas Eve. Now, timing this out, whether it's Christmas Eve morning or later in the day, we can't get that specific 8 days out. But at some point on Christmas Eve, there probably will be a cold frontal passage with some snowflakes. Then as we head towards Christmas Day, next Friday, again, this is just one run of one model, but the overall idea here is it's going to be a lot colder. And with that colder air coming across the Great Lakes, this may be a pretty good lake effect setup for Christmas Day. If this comes to fruition, I think there's going to be flakes at least in the air for Christmas Day. Whether or not we have an inch of snow on the ground making it an official white Christmas, that's a tougher challenge at this point, if you will. Can't make that call just yet, but I think there's a chance there's at least flakes in the air on Christmas Day if we get into a lake effect regime. When we look back at the long-term averages of a white Christmas, and again, we define this as an inch of snow or more on the ground Christmas morning. At the Youngstown Warren Airport, those historical odds are about 45%. Not quite 50-50, but about 45%. As you go south in our viewing area, of course, the odds get lower. I suspect your historical odds of a white Christmas in a place like Lisbon or East Liverpool are more like 25 to 30%. But once you're north of I-80 into Trumbull and Mercer County, yeah, you're approaching 50-50 odds of white Christmases when we look at things historically speaking. This year's odds, I initially had 20%. I'm going to bump them up right now to 25% because of the possibility of that cold front on Christmas Eve dropping some fresh snow just in time for Christmas. I think the snow we're seeing tonight, a fair amount of it is going to melt before the middle of next week. We are going to get into the lower 40s. Now, overnight temperatures will drop below freezing. This isn't going to be a fast melt. So especially if you end up getting maybe 6 inches or so worth of snow in your location from this system, you might not melt all that snow before Christmas Eve. So even without that cold front on Christmas Eve, you might still squeeze out a white Christmas as a result of what's happening tonight if you get enough snow in your backyard during the course of this current system. So we'll have lots and lots of updates, of course, on the Christmas forecast and everything revolving around travel plans. A lot of people, of course, are not going to be traveling. Not as many people, at least, are going to be traveling this year as a typical Christmas. But there will be people hitting the roads and going to the airport and that sort of thing. And the forecast will be all important. Just a quick review of tonight for those just joining us here on Facebook and YouTube Live. Light snow continues at this hour. It gets a little bit heavier down in parts of western Columbiana County. There can be light to moderate snow for the next handful of hours, leading to modest additional accumulations. We've seen between 2.5 and 4.5 inches on average so far. I think a lot of us will end up between 3 and 6.5 before all is said and done as a storm total. So if you have to hit the roads for any reason this evening, be careful. If you do need to go out tomorrow morning, be careful. A lot of school adjustments so far, and I expect some surfaces to still be slick tomorrow morning, especially, of course, those less traveled roads, those secondary streets. Again, thanks to everyone who's tuning in and leaving comments here on my Facebook Live. And if you're joining me on YouTube, I appreciate that as well. Make it a great rest of your Wednesday night. Hope you and your family are staying safe during this holiday season. Happy holidays to you and yours. And I will see you back here for more updates on social media and tonight on 21 News